It's God, I watched it. It's like because the three picks right before us were wide receivers. I said, "Oh, what do you think they're going to pick a wide receiver? They're going to take a wide receiver, aren't they? We don't need a wide receiver right now. We need defensive line help and we need secondary help. That's what we
Unfortunately, they haven't been very good at drafting corners, though.
Yeah. Well, if you're not drafting the corner, there might be your first problem. I don't mean to be Sherlock Holmes here and track down things, but I would seem to say if you want to say get a specific position player, drafting that position player might be a good start. But I guess I don't know. We can turn a kicker into the into our secondary person, I guess.
No, you got to draft the position you're strongest at already.
Get
more of those players.
Oh God. Yeah, there is always one team that's like they've already got like the best quarterback, and we're drafting a quarterback. Well, what was it, 2 years ago with Love when they took that and really made it. That was the beginning of the downside with Aaron Rodgers over there at Green Bay. So anyway. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We got a humdinger of a show today. We're going to mail it in the 4 o'clock hour. We really don't have to work too hard. Joining me, first of all, is going to be Daniel Petzold. He's playing Horatio in the Guthrie's presentation of the Hamlet, which I saw last week, and go see it. You can't go wrong with the Guthrie and Shakespeare. You just can't. And Hamlet is the best one. That is, in my mind, I love that one. Also coming up here, I'm extremely excited about this. Victoria Sung is going to join us. She is with, or she was with, I should say, with the Walker Art Museum. Pasita Abad is an amazing artist, and her first retrospective is now on display at the Walker, and it is just spectacular, just colorful, amazing, a lot of imagery, a lot of good stuff there. A good view. So I really can't recommend them enough. Victoria's going to join us coming up here at 4:35. Dancing, it's a Friday. Why not here? Bear! No, I'm not talking about me, although, hi there. No, bear, actual bear in Maple Grove. Well, and
Maple Grove, that's getting
so he's commuting,
Yeah,
it's a tertiary suburb, He's got a job in town. He's able to remote work a few days a week. Actually, I shouldn't say her, and we know it's a her because there are Cubs, which means we know there's a Bale somewhere around there too. Either that or someone's getting really lonely. No. I would hope not. A black bear with cubs was spotted in Maple Grove Park on Monday. Oh. Tony Rubash shared videos showing the bear and 3 cubs taking a stroll through Elm Creek Regional Park on the Creek Trail. Have you been to Elm Creek?
I have, yes.
That is a great park. That is it's huge. It does not surprise me there's a bear in there. That thing is massive.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, Maple Grove, if there's one area where that bear could be, it would be in that park. Yeah.
I have said this. I'll stand by this. I have zero doubt. Somewhere on the shoreline of the Mississippi River, from right below the falls all the way down to where it hits the Minnesota River, guarantee you there's a bear in there somewhere. There's just too much territory, and it's prime, sort of set up for them. So no, I honestly, I really do think that's the case there. That's there's a bear down there, and we've had bears all over the place, Dun, 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 dun. Never mind. Sorry. But if you've ever been to Elm Creek Regional Park, which I highly recommend, I've of all the parks, one of the parks in the metro area, and really I do consider this part of the metro core. It is one of the best. It is a good around that lake in the middle. Might be one of the longest trails, 4.5, maybe a little like 4 miles all the way around that. Lots of remote area there. So yeah, easy, and a lot of food there. So bear time. Another video shows a bear near a trail at the same park with the bear beginning to run towards the filmer from a far distance, then stop before the video ends. Okay. Follow-up question on this story. Is the videographer been found, or is this like one of those Blair Witch things where we just found the video cameras and we have no idea who left their camera here? I heard some screams for, oh, sweet Jesus, no. So hopefully the photographer is okay. The Minnesota DNR says if anyone sees a black bear outside of its primary range, They're asked to fill out an online form. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's the first thing you think of when you see a bear. It's like, oh, well, let me get my phone out here. Not for photos, but for just filling out some important data. Geocaching. That's what you need to do. Geocaching. The primary range is basically from the DNR's website. It's basically on the north side of the Mississippi River, north of the metro. So Maple Grove is not that far out of its territory. Because once again, you're talking about a mama bear and 3 cubs. So undoubtedly there's a daddy bear somewhere around here too. What do you do if you have a close encounter with a black bear on a trail? Well, filling out a DNR form at that point, probably not the best idea. Slowly make your presence known in a calm voice before altering your route and backing away slowly, they say. If the bear follows, act boldly, yelling and throwing something at it. Do not climb a tree. Because unless you're Spider-Man, that's a one-way trip. And the bears are better climbers than you no matter what. So, yeah, whatever you do, it's like an intervention. Hi there. Hi, Mr. Bear. I'm Matt. And hi, I see you there. You're big and clawy and teethy and looking for something to munch down on. And although I might look like a fine snack itself, no, may I point to my partner here, who is this person? There's some good eating right there. Now, excuse me while I alter my route and back away slowly. It's like, it's in the event the bear follows, act boldly. What, get Taco Bell? What?
The act boy. Yeah, I like the idea. They said throw something at it. I
Yes,
don't know if I want.
Have you seen me throw a baseball? I don't know if you want me throwing anything. I don't really have the best range on the arm. You've got Agnes out there going for her weekly hike, and all of a sudden she's got to be, Lopez on the mound. I don't think that's going to work out too well for her. Oh, hey, careful, Maple Grove. You've got a bear sighting on your hands. And the bears, and for God's sakes, do not go on out there and look for them. Do not. And if, God forbid, you see them with their cubs, seriously, back up. Get away from them. They are very defensive. There's always one person that gets, isn't it about once a year we get, bear v man. And it doesn't work out too well here in Minnesota, does it?
Yeah, the Bears got a good record.
Yeah, it's pound for pound. I mean, they're drafting one. You know who's not taking a wide receiver in the first round? You know who's not? The Bear. The Bear is not.
They're smart. They're taking linemen.
They're taking linemen, man. Get beefing up that line. That's what they're doing. 952-946-6205. This is just a crap fest of a show. It is. Oh, but I love doing it. So I want to start off by giving you the, oh God, no one could see that coming. Gee Willikers, you're kidding me. No, really, no one saw that coming story of the day. This would include that the Brett Kavanaugh investigation didn't nearly, dig deep enough to find the truth there on whether Kavanaugh was guilty. According to a report from The Guardian, serious omissions of facts of the report, and The Guardian's Stephanie Kishgessner writing the report done at the behest of the Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley contained a major misstatement of facts, a major one. As The Guardian report notes, it prominently included an unfounded and unverified claim that one of Kavanaugh's accuser, a fellow Yale graduate named Deborah Ramirez, was likely mistaken when she alleged that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at her dormitory party because another Yale student was already known for such acts. However, as the report points out, it was the case of mistaken identity, instead suggesting by a lawyer working in conjunction with the lead counsel for the GOP-led committee. The suggestion that Kavanaugh was the victim of mistaken identity was sent to the Judiciary Committee by a Colorado-based attorney named Joseph C. Smith Jr., according to a non-redacted copy of a 2018 email obtained by The Guardian. The report says, before adding, Smith was also a member of the Federalist Society. So this is the group that wanted Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. They themselves were doing op research to help him out to get through these allegations that he is an absolute freaking creeper. It sounds like they were working hand in hand with the Senate GOP leaders, lawyers in this to basically put forward this lie. Because as you'll see in just a second, this lie of quote unquote mistaken identity is pretty outrageous that it was accepted. He's part of the Federalist Society, a strong supporter of Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination, appears to have a professional relationship with the Federalist Society's co-founder, Leonard Leo, whom he thanked in the acknowledgments of his book, Under God, George Washington, The Question of Church and State. Oh, yeah, great. The allegation that Ramirez was likely mistaken was included in the Senate committee's final report, even though Jack Maxey, who is described but not named, was not attending Yale at the time of the alleged incident. The Guardian is reporting in an interview with Guardian, Maxey confirmed that he was still a senior in high school at the time of the alleged incident and said he had never been contacted by any of the Republican staffers who were conducting the investigation. According to Maxey, I was not at Yale. I was a senior in high school at the time. I was not in New Haven, Connecticut. These people can say what they want, and there are no consequences ever. So this Colorado lawyer who's working for the Federalist Society who wants Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, basically makes up a lie to cover Kavanaugh's behavior. Hands this lie to the head lead investigator for the Senate we're getting down to the truth. And no one bothered to even check to see if the guy they were saying was mistaken identity was even at the college at that point. And not only is this lie there to basically turn Kavanaugh into a poor victim, the lie he is put in here to vilify the true victim, the woman who had been exposed, the Yale graduate Deborah Ramirez. They use this to basically discredit her, saying, it was mistaken identity. It was that guy that does this all the time, without anyone checking to see, well, was that guy on the college campus at that time? No. Well, then clearly it wasn't mistaken identity. And it should also be noted, the lawyer that put this forward at no point actually talked to either Ramirez or the guy that she said was the person that they mistook Kavanaugh for. He's guilty. Let's just, all that stuff he was being alleged that he had done, he was guilty of it. He was guilty of it. Let's just repeat this. He was guilty of all these allegations, and the Senate Republicans ran defense for him with the help of the Federalist Society, who just basically made up excuses that have no basis in truth to get him off the hook. Now, in a decent society, in a decent world, what we would have is maybe a confirmation hearing, and actually do the research to find out if the Federalist Society wrote all these lies and actually did any research, or basically just said he's innocent, and find out if Kavanaugh actually did this. Because remember, every Republican on that committee waved that report in everyone's face and said, see, we did our due diligence. He's innocent. And now we find out one of the major linchpins of his innocence is a completely made up, fabricated lie that, once again, if you remove Maxey, who wasn't even on the college campus, the only other person it could have been is Bear. That's who. Oh, excuse me. Supreme Court Justice Bear. Oh, God. It's just... But they're going to go after women's rights, and they're going after the transgender people. Well, here's this. They lied about. That's nothing. That's sour grapes, Matt. That's sour grapes. I don't want to look into that. You want to know why the Supreme Court that most people have lost faith in the Supreme Court? It's crap like this. Kavanaugh was exactly who we thought he was, and the Republicans were not. They were not interested in actually making sure that he was a good person. They just wanted him on the court. Just disgusting. 952. And like I said, if there was a decent world, at the very least, his pathetic ass would be dragged off that bench, hauled back into the Senate, and forced to answer a few questions about what the heck is going on here. Or at the very least, maybe that Senate investigator and this lawyer from the right-wing group should be hauled down there and said, okay, wait a minute, where did this come from? Well, I saw it online. I didn't know they were going to take it and use it. Oopsies. The problem is we know the crime that's been committed. We just don't have the guts to basically go on out there and put the people in jail. Ta-da! 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Hey, Cudahy, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I want to tell you about a better, more environmentally friendly way to care for your lawn with Natural Lawn. Natural Lawn has been treating Minnesota lawns for more than 20 years with organic-based natural products that feed the soil without unnecessary chemicals. That means an envy-worthy, healthier lawn that's safer for your family and your furry friends. Natural Lawn has no contracts and is 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So let Natural Lawn handle your lawn care so you can enjoy your lawn. More at naturallawn.com.
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring. And new for 2023, the St. Paul Art Crawl will now span 4 weekends through May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl will feature different districts each weekend, so you will have more opportunities to see more artists and performances. The event will showcase the work of local artists from 10 distinct art districts in St. Paul. This year's crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever, with 26 different venues hosting hundreds of talented artists, live music, dance, and delicious local food. As the longest-running art crawl in the United States, the St. Paul Art Crawl is an iconic event for art lovers and collectors alike. You can explore the city's diverse neighborhoods and experience the unique creative visions of each artist. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's every weekend through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, the Senate is currently in Minnesota debating dope. That's right. The Senate version of the legalized marijuana bill is currently being discussed in the Senate. I'm not sure if it will get passed or not. I would hope so. I'm sorry. I will be just bluntly vicious on any Democrat who is dumb enough to not vote for this bill for this reason. This is exactly this. Forget about legalizing marijuana. They've been using. It's pretty clear now. I think we have more than enough evidence that Republicans have been using and funneling money and putting up prop third-party pro-dope candidates to try to peel away voters from the Democratic Party, and with success in many places. With success. And so I'm sorry. I have no problem. I mean, just on that merit alone, I don't really smoke dope. I used to. I don't do it anymore. Uh-oh. Am I in trouble with Johnny Law now? I won't tell you where I did it. Colorado. Anyway, it was last October when I was in Colorado. High as a kite, might I say. Oh, nothing better for hiking in those mountains than a lot of dope. I'm just going to just say it. Anyway. No, I think you can, I mean, the real question, I mean, is it a gateway drug? And there are some people who are convinced by it. There are a lot of people who aren't convinced by it. I know a lot of people who have used it for cancer treatments, and I don't think that they're, strung out on heroin now. I mean, it's generally not the case. What happens here? I know a lot of people. I'm 54. I know a lot of people who've been smoking dope their entire life, and they don't even drink. The only drug they take is marijuana. They've never once ramped it up to it. See, you know what? One day I want to try some crack. No one's doing that. Now, are there people out there that have had marijuana and then gotten into harder drugs? Yes. I would say a lot of the time when that does happen, it is more the friend group of that individual peer pressuring them into something. And a lot of times, I mean, I can be blunt. Pun intended. Jesus. Yeah. Weed. If I could be blunt, I think most of the time, and I've told this to my kids, when I was a kid, there were kids that were trying to get you to smoke and they were trying to get you to drink and these things. And what you figured out was they were trying to get you to go buy cigarettes so that they could bum cigarettes off you. It was a scheme. Hey, smoke, man. Oh, I'll let you borrow one cigarette. And hey, can you let me borrow 16 tomorrow? That sort of thing. And, that's kind of the thing I've experienced is that the people that encourage drug use are generally people looking for other people to buy their drugs for them. And so their mentality is, well, if I get this person where they're using cocaine, well, then maybe they'll let me have some of their cocaine. Tell the truth. And of course, then there's the drug dealers who themselves encourage drug use. But that's not because, I don't think anyone's like, well, you've smoked dope, so let's get into something harder. No, I think there's got to be a pressure point that's going on there. That's not more than just a decision to make that happen. That being said, Democrats, your concerns about marijuana aside, how many elections have you lost control of a House or a Senate seat or a House seat? How many times have you done this because there was a third party mysterious candidate who seems to have been bankrolled by Republicans? As a matter of fact, I just had another person say that there was a Republican who spent a lot of money on the pro-pot candidate in their race. A person who, by the way, just gave pretty big speeches in the House against legalizing marijuana, but only, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? They were basically funding a pro-pot candidate. You tell me that the fix is not in. Republicans, I don't think that they really care whether or not. I think what will happen is this. I think that when the bill looks like it's going to pass and there's not much that's going to stop it, then I think you're going to get 5 or 6 Republicans saying, yeah, it's time to make it legal. But until that time, they're a united front saying, no, we're not going to do this because, you're not exactly going to get other candidates to start running on that are going to basically be able to suck away as many votes as these pro marijuana candidates have. And once again, you're only talking about in many of these races 500, 600 votes, but it's been the deciding factor in some of these House and Senate races. So Democrats, you'd be fools to not legalize marijuana just on that alone. But I'm at the point here. It's like, if you're going to if you're still against marijuana being legal, then you should be introducing a bill tomorrow to make alcohol legal, because alcohol is far more freaking dangerous than marijuana is. It absolutely is, without a doubt in my mind. As a guy who had his back broken recently by an alleged drunk driver. Yep. How hard would a dope head have to run at me to break my back? He must think I'm holding Cheetos or something.
Well, the problem is you have to actually get him in the car in the first place to be.
Well, no, he's not gonna be in the car. He's just running at He's
running
like Shag running away from the Phantom or something like that. He's just plowing into me. How hard would a dope head have to run into me to break my back? Probably not. Just saying. He's got cheese balls. Zoinks. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. All right. We'll take a break. Come on back. Hey, I've got details on some search warrants that would a guy named Sanford. We'll talk about those when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Off this stereo.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Hi, everybody. This is Paul Metza, host of the Wall of Power Radio Hour, going on its 8th anniversary this year on AM 950. I want to tell you that I've got a great book out called Alphabet Jazz, Poetry, Prose, Stories, and Songs. It's writings I've done over the last 40 years. It's available on Amazon, or if you want to shop locally, go to the Electric Fetus, Crumpy's Bar Northeast, or High Fine Hair in Loring Park. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks so much.
Hey, AM 950 listeners. My name is JP Debragosian. I'm the host of This Queer Book Saved My Life, the show where LGBTQ guests share the queer books that saved their lives with the very authors who wrote them. This week, I'm co-hosting with Enrico Manalo from the DEI Is podcast. We're talking with Brian McCormick about queer inclusivity at work. What does that really mean to be queer inclusive? What does belonging look like for queer folk? Join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Get paid to upgrade. Warner Stellian will buy your appliance for $50 during our trade-in sale. No one else saves you more time from shopping to free professional delivery like Warner Stellian. Put us to the test. Shop Minnesota family-owned WarnerStellian.com.
Call Zero Res now and take advantage of the spring flash sale and get a free hallway with any of their carpet cleaning packages with 3-room Zero Resified starting at just $129. Don't wait for the weather. Book now to beat the rush. 952-ZERO-RES or ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a high near 52. Tonight cloudy with a low around 39. And Saturday rain with a high near 53. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there's bare spots or brown patches, Natural Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natural Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care to feed your soil without unnecessary chemicals. Beat the summer rush and visit naturallawn.com.
Oh, Senator Warren Limmer's talking right now. Narc. Narc. Oh, when's someone going to change out that mop handle? Never mind. Apparently he's arguing it. You know, it's just too much. 2 ounces is equivalent to 3 joints. That's too much. Gosh, you guys, you know, it's easy to see who the people are that have absolutely zero experience with marijuana in the Senate. I saw this PSA back in the 1980s that featured Nancy Reagan and a young minority person talking about the evils of marijuana. And I got to tell you something. I think that stuck with me. I mean, how dare I disagree with Nancy Reagan? I mean, Lord, I mean, come on. It's honest. And there was a minority person in the ad too. Come on. It's got to be true. Oh, let me tell you about Iran-Contra. Oh, as they shipped all the drugs into the black neighborhoods. Oh, yeah, it was just, there was you keep believing that they were, you know, I think the war on drugs officially won in the 1980s. I think they established a pretty solid beachfront and actually kind of, you know, took out a lot of the anti-drug crowd. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. If they get a vote, we'll get that updated here for you during the show. 5 search warrants affidavits unsealed on Thursday reveal that billionaire banker T. Denny Sanford was believed to have obtained 36 images depicting child pornography in the summer of 2019. Now, we will stop right here before I get into this story anymore and point out the absolute broken nature of the Republican Party. Republicans right now across the country are fueling this hatred against, say, the transgender people in multiple different ways. They're out there right now screaming that, real women should hate transgender women. That's just the truth. And they have a lot of women that are on board. But funny, as a lot of these women who are railing against transgender individuals scream that I'm with the GOP, they're the party of women. GOP just failed to pass. They basically filibustered the Equal Rights Amendment again in 2023. Even though we've had decades of knowledge that women get paid less than men, they still do not want to recognize women as equals. So if you stop your arguments, the Republicans are on the side of women. They're just not. They're just not. They also go on out there and try to scream about how, the transgender people, it's groomers, pedophiles, all these things. I do love Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't take crap very well. And so you had some right-wing idiots that were trying to push this idea that one of the House members was, pro-pedophile and all this stuff. People in Minnesota don't even buy it. That story disappeared real fast because everyone knows, wow, you're making that up. You go try that. Go try that in a stupid state, okay? Don't try that here. The people of Minneapolis, people of Minnesota, they don't buy your stupidity. And the people that would believe you would never vote for a Democrat anyway. They're just validating their narrative. So just go away. Stop your things. Meanwhile, as Republicans keep trying to talk about, we got to stop these bad people, there seems to be so many stories lately about Republican politicians, Republican bankrollers, Republican influencers, pro-Republican individuals in leadership positions across the country who seem to have a problem with child porn and child abuse and sex abuse and this. And it is remarkable. I mean, it's like when, the continued mass shootings happen in this country, and the first thing they say is, well, it's bows and arrows. And you're like, what? The problem, Republicans, if you're upset about, underage children being violated, the call is coming from within your own house. Dear Lord. Anyway, now I should mention here, I do not believe any charges were filed in this case, but the affidavits were unsealed. Once again, that billionaire banker, T. Denny Sanford, was believed to have obtained 36 images depicting child pornography in the summer of 2019. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip on July 9th, 2019, about the images reported from an AOL account owned by Sanford. Wait a second here. 2019, and you had an AOL account? In 2019? Did you have the DeLorean to take you back to 1995 when that was actually still a relevant thing? You had an AOL account in 2019? That seems weird, man. Sanford, the images reported from an AOL account owned by Sanford, the documents show. The NCMEC then reported the tip to the South Dakota Internet Crimes and Children Task Force August 14th, 2019. The South Dakota Department of Criminal Investigation then started its investigation into Sanford relating to possession and distribution of child pornography. The 83-page document dump, which shows what evidence law enforcement may have had to execute the search warrants, comes after a 2-year legal battle between Sanford, the Argus leader, and ProPublica, an investigative news nonprofit. The South Dakota Supreme Court ruled on April 6th the affidavits, which explain why the search warrants were executed in 2019 and 2020, must be unsealed under the public's right to know that, and that the Minnehaha County judge had the right to redact personal information as he saw fit. The court's ruling is included in the document. The Argus leader had first learned about the investigation into Sanford, a nationally recognized philanthropist and billionaire who pledged to die broke and namesake of the Sanford Health System in Sioux Falls and the surrounding region, who wants to basically buy into the Minnesota healthcare system right now. Okay. They learned about this in 2019, but was under a gag order by the judge not to speak about the matter when the issue to get access to court records first went into court. Sanford was only identified as an implicated individual in arguments and court hearings later on. So let's just, okay, can we just, does anyone really think that South Dakota did a full really dig down deep. Let's find out what really happened investigation into Denny Sanford. South Dakota and Sanford. Sanford is I believe is the wealthiest man in the state. I believe. And just in this initial court ruling that they couldn't even mention the name of the individual who was being investigated. You tell me, let me ask you this. Do you think a black person in South Dakota that gets arrested would get that same kind of consideration, that you can't refer to them? They can only be identified as the implicated individual? Of course not. The system from the beginning was trying to defend Denny Sanford. Clearly. So Sanford, the founder of First Premier Bank, is no longer being investigated for child pornography in South Dakota. Wow. Boy, oh boy, I'm sure they did a thorough investigation. Sure of it. No need to question that at all. No. It's unclear why Sanford wasn't indicted, but the Argus leader is actively asking that question. In January 2020, Sanford's legal team alleged he had been hacked. A forensic examination of because that's what happens all the time. People hack people all the time and plant incriminating evidence. And forensic examination of the very email account and relevant time frame that the subject of the search warrant in this case was uncovered the specific name of an individual other than the implicated individual having gained access to that very account. His attorney, Marty Jakely, wrote at the time, further exonerating evidence includes corroborating evidence as hacking into the implicated individual's various accounts, unknown to the implicated individual until the forensic examination was performed that sought to uncover the truth of the matter. Okay. So why haven't you gone after that individual? Because for them to plant that evidence on his computer would mean that they were in possession of child pornography, right? So what it seems like it is, you have an allegation against Denny Sanford. They put out there's this other individual who's clearly the person to blame, but it doesn't seem like there's been any charges or any further investigation into said other individual. It just is, what do you know? Problem solved. South Dakota Attorney General's office concluded an investigation on May 2020 into Sanford. During there is no prosecutable offenses within the jurisdiction of the state of South Dakota. Oh, of course not. According to a notice by the office, it remains unclear, though, as similar investigations into Sanford and other jurisdictions remain open. The AG's office released the following statement Thursday in regard to the question of why hasn't he been charged or indicted. The 2019, the Division of Criminal Investigation began investigating whether Sanford had possessed child pornography. Search warrants were issued. The investigative files then forwarded to the U.S. State's Attorney's Office in South Dakota, which forwarded it to the Department of Justice. The file was also forwarded to the authorities in Arizona and California. Okay, to date, none of those authorities have lodged local charges against Sanford after Attorney General Jason Ravsberg, that guy, was impeached and suspended. His administration issued a statement that did not find probable cause for criminal charges in the state of South Dakota. The office then redirected the Argus leader to the notice of Deputy Attorney General Brent Kempham, signed May 27, 2022, that states the investigation has been completed. No other information was provided. The current AG was the initial attorney representing Sanford. Oh, wow. The current AG is the initial attorney representing Sanford when his investigation started. But he wasn't AG at the time of the investigation. Oh, but I'm sure if a new evidence came forward, he'd be holding him accountable. God. Here's what the documents show. The first search warrant affidavit. The first affidavit filed December 19th of 2020, or December of 2019, rather, requests Oath Inc., which owns AOL, apparently still a thing, to turn over account information that was likely believed to be owned by Sanford. The AOL account was suspended for suspected of containing 36 images depicting child porn and child erotica. The images appeared by 3 unique photos showing young girls between the ages of 8 and 15 years old, nude, facing a camera with, unclothed. How about I just say it like that? The 3 photos were then repeated multiple times. The Verizon phone number was also attached to the AOL account. The DCI agent conducting the investigation found the account was registered to Premier Bank Card LLC. In November 20th, the DCI agent was told by an employee of Premier Bank that first the number was not associated with anyone at the bank. The employee then said the number was used by Sanford. Okay. The same day, the DCI agent received a call from Jackie that Sanford would be cooperating with law enforcement, but all communication related to the case would go through Jackley. Jackley currently serves as the South Dakota Attorney General. He was elected in November of 2022. What did the second affidavit reveal? The second search warrant affidavit filed March 12, 2020, was executed to Midco, for the cable and internet company, to turn over all documents, PDF, and text files from a computer that was accessed on June 27, 2019, with an IP address registered to the company in Sioux Falls. The affidavit was presented on December 9th, 2020, in support of search warrant of Oath Incorporated records and content of the email redacted by the judge. The search warrant was presented to the Honorable Judge James Power of the Second Circuit Court of Sioux Falls. Records are received January 10th, including emails from Oath Incorporated from a redacted address. The December 9th date may be an error and refer to a December 9th. 8 emails were collected from the search warrant with dates of May 28th, May 29th, June 27th, from 2019. 2 emails were sent from a Verizon Samsung Galaxy smartphone. Each email had an image of a young nude girl attached. According to the documents, there were 3 unique images that were repeated several times in the emails. Third search warrant examines the Verizon cell phone. On March 12th, the Verizon wireless records for a cell phone used on June 27th, 2019. The cell phone number was used by Sanford at the time, according to the documents. 2 of the emails that contained child porn had signature lines identifying they'd been sent from a Verizon Samsung Galaxy smartphone, according to the documents. There was also 14 additional outgoing emails sent between May 28th and 29th in the same time frame as the outgoing messages that had the child porn attachments. 1 email contained a graphic image of a young girl. They had a naming convention that possibly identifies the date and the time the image was taken. This common naming convention of Android devices. The DCI agent who wrote the affidavit said the experience with cell phone image naming conventions had stated. 3 IP addresses not registered in South Dakota were also noted in the affidavit. The DCI agent wrote that he was unable to accurately locate the location of the individual because all 3 locations were pinged in the 2 dates in the May and date in June. Well, okay, can I, once again, I'm not Sherlock Holmes here, but if you're saying that from that cell phone, there were emails sent from that device, some of them included child pornography, what did the other ones contain? Because that might tell you exactly who is using the cell phone at that time. It might be one of those things where 20 minutes before an image with child pornography was sent somewhere, there was an email to, I don't know, a family member about a grocery list or something like that. And it would be very difficult to explain how in 20 minutes you were sending one email and then you didn't send another email. All right. The most reliable way to positively identify the individual that was using the email account at the date, and the reliable way to accurately determine the location of that individual is by obtaining records and information from Verizon Wireless regarding the cell phone number of blank, according to the search warrant affidavit. Specifically, subscriber information, device information, which detail records, IP address, that sort of thing, which they got, which should have told you who was using the cell phone. 4th and 5th search warrant affidavits filed requests for cell phone number records used on May 28th and 29th of 2019. The warrants note that a view of the emails from one of the relevant email account, although exactly which one is not redacted from the documents, included identifiers like photographs of Sanford's driver's license, a hotel receipt from 2019 stay in California, several photographs of a person believed to be Sanford, and a letter from the Dalai Lama thanking Sanford for his support of the University of California, San Diego, T. Denny Sanford Institute for Empathy and Compassion. Wow. So, once again, not an investigation anymore. To my knowledge, okay, I am not a police investigator. But if you did indeed have definitive evidence, someone planted this information, wouldn't you be doing everything in your power to get that person arrested? As you should be. If you have evidence that said, nope, Mr. Sanford didn't do anything wrong, it was some guy here, we are trying to track them down. You'd have press conferences. This wouldn't be something that would be going on behind the scenes. You would be doing this to assure the public the wealthiest guy in the state is not guilty. And we are doing everything in our power to track down the individual that was. Of course you would. And at no point does that seem like that was an option, nor does it seem like they did too much other searching to try to find this other so-called individual. And it seems like there's plenty of evidence that they gathered that would exactly prove who was in possession and using the phones at that time. Maybe it was the Dalai Lama. I don't know. Anyway, but reminder, his lawyer is now the Attorney General of the state of South Dakota. Jesus. That doesn't smell rotten at all. 946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when I have to get service done, there's only one place I go. Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with the Hunter Quick Check Drive Inspection Service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and parts specials just for your Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hi, I'm Mary T. of the Mary T. family of companies. Our new Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care is a bold reimagining of what assisted living can be. Our emphasis is on creative meals, outdoor walking paths, and a spectrum of restorative therapies and activities. We are founded on a history of care. We are dedicated to enriching lives. Learn more about Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care by visiting marytinc.com.
Boy, I mean, it is just amazing what these Republican states where the Republicans have been in charge for a few decades now. They're so corrupt. They just are. Take a look at Montana. They're so incensed by someone pointing out the actual truth and consequences of their actions that they basically have booted her out of the Capitol and basically are making her sit out on a bench out of sight so no one can hear or see her. And by the way, if I was Zoe Zephyr over in Montana, I'd be having an hourly freaking press conference because right now I guarantee the media would be there and just embarrass the living daylights out of these people and make sure the public hears your point of view, because that's what they're trying to do, is stop you from being heard. And you actually have a pretty big megaphone right now. And then my gosh, we had Christine Nome. Wasn't her daughter? You remember there was the retaliation against the head of realtors in South Dakota because her little Missy didn't get didn't get just the rubber stamp on the form and stuff like that. Ravensburg, my God, that was the old attorney general who hit the guy with his car. They found his glasses on the front seat. He'd gone over the hood of the car into the car, and the guy said, "I thought I hit a deer." Unbelievable. It just is. You have no faith because in these states now, what it's become is if a Republican, and we're not talking minor skirmishes, we're not talking, a failure to report a financial donation for an election campaign. We're not talking about that. We're talking real, horrific, bad crimes. And you're not going to get, as long as you show up at Republican Party events, as long as you write checks to Republican Party people, you will not ever be held accountable if there is validity to the charges against you. You won't ever be held accountable because, my God, if they couldn't hold their former attorney general guilty of that, and they couldn't, they couldn't. They basically, it was about as harsh as they will get. It was a stern finger wagging as they told him to resign. He should have gone to jail. Kristi Noem should have been kicked out of her seat for basically, cronyism for her and basically making sure her daughter got a leg up when she didn't deserve it. Isn't that what they complain about? We shouldn't help the American people. They should pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. But when all of a sudden they need a favor from somebody, and that person doesn't jump fast enough or high enough for them, then they have to have retaliatory attacks on them to try to get them fired. It is the Republican Party in this country today is so freaking broken. I don't think it can be fixed. The only way it could be fixed is if moderate Republicans find their spines again and basically say, all this is not good. This is not cool. You guys have been so addicted to the 11th commandment from Reagan, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican, that you don't realize that you basically are endorsing the worst of humanity as you sit there and proudly pledge your only allegiance to loonball extremists. Dear Lord. Hour 2, that's coming up next.
On Saturday, April 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., join Seward Co-op for their 22nd annual Community-Supported Agricultural, or CSA, Fair, plus a welcome party. Seward Community Co-op is dedicated to helping to build a food system that values inclusivity, environmental responsibility, equity, and access. Visit the CSA Fair to see these values in action and choose a CSA chair that is right for you and your household. There will be activities for kids, treats, prizes, and more. The event will also be celebrating Seward Co-op's new general manager, Ray Williams. In addition, Seward Co-op looks forward to offering community members a chance to engage in the future of the creamery building by bringing them into the conversation about how the space can serve the community. Learn about a variety of different CSAs which offer vegetables, fruit, meat, cheese, bread, mushrooms, and add-ons like honey, maple syrup, eggs, and flowers. Others allow CSA chairs to be customized to fit your needs, such as half shares and weekly purchase options. Go to seward.coop/events for more information.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. A key gauge on inflation remains high. Our Jennifer King reports.
A report from the Commerce Department's Bureau of Economic Data shows an important index of inflation stayed high last month. Excluding food and energy, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index rose 0.3% from February to March. That's 4.6% from a year earlier. Overall prices were up 0.1%. Some Fed officials are concerned that core inflation hasn't declined much since reaching 4.7% in July. The Fed's expected to raise interest rates again next week.
The Federal Reserve says poor management, weakened banking regulations, and lax government oversight all combined to create the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. The Fed's report is calling for stricter policing for the banking industry on multiple fronts. The flood watch is on along the upper Mississippi River, where snowmelt has caused the river to overflow its banks. The worst is expected this weekend in some areas. In Buffalo, Iowa, Steve Van Hecky was picking up sandbags for his property.
Done it. Tired of it.
He spoke on WQAD-TV. President Biden has commuted the sentences of 31 people convicted of non-violent drug offenses who were serving time in home confinement. Pope Francis is visiting Hungary and calling on leaders there to make a stronger show of support for the people of Ukraine. Our Walter Ratliff reports.
In a carefully calibrated speech, Francis blasted what he called adolescent belligerence that brought war back to Europe.
Infantilismo bellico.
Francis addressed Hungary's top leadership, whose lukewarm support for Ukraine has rankled other European Union countries.
Russian missiles and drone strikes today killed nearly 30 people in central Ukraine. This is AP News.
Paid for by government.com.
The 1878 to 1921 Morgan silver dollar, a true American classic and one of the most iconic silver dollar coins in history. It's been 100 years since the last Morgan silver dollar coin was struck for circulation, and now, for a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government struck Morgan dollars are being released to the public. That's right, you can own a full pound of 1878 to 1921 classic American Morgan silver dollar coins, all in very good collector condition with fully visible dates and mint marks. Guaranteed. Call 1-800-863-7267 now to secure collector-grade U.S. Morgan silver dollars by the pound, struck during the Wild West and the Gilded Age. Plus, receive a bonus American Collector's Pack valued at over $25, free with every order. Call 1-800-863-7267 now to secure your full pound bag of Morgan silver dollar coins before they are gone. 1-800-863-7267. That's 1-800-863-7267.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the most informative source for progressive politics and news in the Twin Cities. Get involved online at am950radio.com, where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, check out the local businesses that help make this content available, and stay up to date on the latest news and upcoming events. You can always reach us by email at comment@am950radio.com. That's comment@am950radio.com. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a high near 52, tonight cloudy with a low around 39, and Saturday rain with a high near 53. Hazel's Northeast has some of the most creatively prepared comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Favorites include the Drunken Banana French Toast, Buttermilk Fried Chicken Sandwich, and Swedish Meatballs. Open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 8 to 8 with a Sunday brunch from 8 until 2. Located off 29th and Johnson. More at hazelsnetogo.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show on your Friday. Good to be with you, Matt and Brett. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Still no vote in the Senate on legalizing dope here in Minnesota. I'm expecting it. I just saw one of the clips during the news break. One of the politicians, I think it's Jasinski, was saying, I don't know how to relay this to you. It's legal in a lot of other states, and they don't have these problems. So basically, I think we're seeing a thread here, repetitive. And the Democrats timing to talk. It's a shame the Republicans can't find some way, to calm down, relax, take it easy a little bit, chill. Maybe catch some Star Trek Next Generation and have some cheese balls. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why what could we get the Republicans in the Minnesota Senate to calm them down? Well, I'll have to think about that a little bit later on. 952-946-6205. The Guthrie Theater has Hamlet playing over at the World Thrust stage that goes until May 21st. It is exceptional. I saw it last Saturday, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Daniel Petzold to the show. He plays Horatio in the play, and he's kind enough to take some time to talk about the presentation, Hamlet, and the role of Horatio as well. Thank you very much, Daniel. I appreciate the time.
Oh, likewise. It's nice to virtually meet you, Matt, and I'm glad you like the show.
I love the show. Now, are you based in New York most of the time?
No, actually, I'm a new local here in Minneapolis. So me and my beautiful partner Sarah moved here about 2 years ago from New York. I was doing the sort of New York actor thing, and we were just like, is there another place where we could lay our heads? And we gave Minneapolis a shot, and we're loving it so far.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad it worked out for you. This is you were in Sally and Tom over at the Guthrie, and then here comes in
right.
and it comes in Hamlet. Now, when you get here, I'm looking at your resume. You've done a lot of Shakespeare, Macbeth, Twelfth Night, Love, Labor, Lost, as well. You've done a lot of them. Was there a lot of appeal when obviously they're starting to cast for Hamlet at the Guthrie? I mean, was that I'm down there in line, I'll talk to you later sort of thing?
Oh, I mean, I was just reflecting a couple days that if you would have told me like 4 years ago that I'd be playing Horatio in Hamlet, 60th anniversary of the Guthrie, I mean, it's a dream job. It's what I went to school for. It's what I fell in love with, and it's also just a really cool added bonus that I think we've got a really good show on our hands and like a really killer Hamlet. The show kind of lives and dies by the man that plays the title role, and Michael Brower is killing it night after night. No pun intended.
Oh, just amazing. I mean, but it's everything about how the Guthrie does this. I'm a fan of the Guthrie. I've been there a lot of time. I mean, the entire concept of bringing good theater out into the rural America, lesser America, not New York or Chicago or LA, and being able to have successful theater. It's been a spectacular success here. And we put on, I think, some of the best Shakespearean performances as well as other performances you'll find anywhere in the country. And the way that they put Shakespeare on, and the way, I guess the best way to describe the set, I thought about this a lot. It was almost like, it's like late 1980s or early 90s Los Angeles. They're just seeing this kind of.
Yeah.
There seems to
totally.
be that kind
you
of
get
thing.
that sort of cold, or not, obviously not Cold War, but like sort of like brutalist, big, imposing, concrete texture that, really lends itself to a play where, everything's kind of about secrets and who's watching who, and nobody can really trust each other. And that set design by Jan Chambers is a joy to play on night after night, for sure.
The real trick of that is that as great as that set design is, it does what it's supposed to do. It highlights the actors, and you guys are fantastic. Horatio, let's talk about this character. It is one of the major characters in the play. You're basically Hamlet's best friend. You're there pretty much the entire time. Talk about this is one of the iconic roles in all theater. Talk about approaching this role.
Well, I really love Horatio, and I feel very attached to him. He's a consummate listener. One thing that Joe Hodge said very early on is that he believes Horatio is the only person that Hamlet can trust, the only person that throughout the course of the play does not betray him. And so there's a real kinship and a real sort of responsibility to make sure that I'm bringing that night after night. The thing is, Horatio, he can be so many different things. We know that he is a schoolmate of Hamlet's. We know that he doesn't really belong in the court in the fancy way that the other characters do, but that he's here for his buddy. And then from there on, he's really just sort of a witness. He's a great listener. For every 10 sentences that Hamlet says, he'll respond with a half a one. And I think really rings true to a lot of friendships. The other fun sort of, and this is not proven, but Shakespeare in his day would act alongside his troupe, and a lot of people think that the best friend roles, like Horatio or say Benvolio in Romeo and Juliet, were actually played by Shakespeare himself, so that he could sort of be feet on the ground, making sure that the play is going the right way, and listening to his leading men.
The importance of Horatio, by the way, that makes an insane amount of sense, because let's face it, Horatio is the line that keeps Hamlet tethered I mean, it'd be easy to look at Hamlet and just say, "Oh, he's going nuts," you know, that in the play.
Mhm.
The reality is, Horatio plays the role of making sure he's like, no, he's still tethered to Horatio, and so as long as that's there, it's, you know, and especially, and we're not going to talk about the end, but I mean, especially at the end, you get that relationship is so important because that's what turns Hamlet just from, you know, some guy going crazy to something that's much more precise and surgical. And I think that's one of the things that makes, I mean, Horatio's character is so freaking important in this play.
Yeah, no, I think you've said it very well. He's sort of the cipher for the audience, because if we don't get Horatio, if we don't get the little check-ins that we get for Hamlet, then we have way less access to what's actually going on mentally, emotionally, with our hero. He's the one that sort of lets us in because, you know, Hamlet lets him in.
Daniel Petzold joining us, Horatio from Hamlet over at the Guthrie Theater, running through till May 21st. As this is the great part about Hamlet and all the Shakespearean plays and all, you know, performances. You have films, you have plays, you can go back through history. Is there, when you approached Horatio, was there anyone else's performance that you kind of looked at and said, oh, there's some things that they got right there that I think that I want to try to emulate? Or did you really try to approach this individually on your own?
I'm in love with Shakespeare, in love with Hamlet as a play. I've seen as many things as I can see. I always sort of categorize them by the leading man of who played Hamlet. But so, you know, the Benedict Cumberbatch that just came out, the Andrew Scott that just came out. I went back and watched the Olivier. I used to be in love with the Richard Burton that they filmed in black and white on Broadway. There's so many good ones. Ben Kingsley does a bunch of interviews, but I also know that all that stuff is seeped into me. It's in my bones. It's in my blood. And the best way to do that is just to sort of like give it a rest and see what comes out on the other end. So I gave myself a 2 months out from rehearsal. There was a moratorium on taking in new Hamlet media. And I just wanted to live with the words and see what came out. So there's not any one person that I was basing it off of, but all those productions that I just mentioned. I also had the opportunity to do the part 11 years ago, which, you know, you're a very different person 11 years out. And I had an amazing experience out in Livermore, California, doing it amongst vineyards with some really good friends. So yeah, I think it's all seeped in and it's all a conglomeration by now.
Oh, well, it is spectacular, and I should take some time here and talk about. You mentioned Michael playing Hamlet himself, and then but the rest of the cast. I mean, really, I mean, sure, they're Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are there and gone pretty quick, but you got the rest of the cast. You're only as good. I mean, this cast is spectacular from the King and the Queen. Across Ophelia. Ophelia was phenomenal in that play as well.
Yeah, Anya Whalen Smith, she's given it night after night, and she kind of, you know, that's another scene that I get to be witness to. Her, you know, it's called a madness scene. It can be whatever you want it to be, but just watching what she's bringing to that character is spectacular. It does feel like a true ensemble where everybody knows that, you know, we can't drop the ball. We can't let the energy out of this thing. We've got to be going full steam ahead every minute, night after night. And so far, I think we've been able to keep up with that. I think we've been meeting that challenge. It's a thrill to be a part of.
The staging is exceptional as well. The lighting that goes along with the ghost. But the one that I just blew my mind, and just without giving away too many details, one of the major plot points in Hamlet is you're seeing, and there's another play that is performed during the play, and how you guys stage that, where you basically are on the stage looking out into the audience like the performance is happening out there, and the shadows projected against you. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen anyone try to accomplish that, and it really pulled it off and, you know, portrayed that whole scene just brilliantly.
Yeah, and I think that's a Joe Hodge special. You know what I mean? I don't think that's done very often, and I think that's that's a testament to his sure direction. And we take a couple big swings, and I think they're really paying off. Also, those projections are by Francesca Talenti, who's our projectionist. And it was all great. And what's great about it too is it's all tied to the story, because what we really care about right there is not exactly the troupe of actors that come to play for Hamlet. What we care about is Hamlet. What we care about is the king, his mother, the queen. Like, what are they receiving? And so we have full access to everyone because we're watching them watch it. Really smart staging.
There's also a musical element here, which I've never seen ever done in a Hamlet like this, where you have a musician on the stage basically the entire time. There is go back to Ophelia really quick without giving too much away. She's doing some singing at times, which is brilliant. What a great interpretation of that. But talk about bringing that in, because have you ever done Hamlet with, kind of a musical element like that before?
No, certainly not. So the musician that's on stage, Jack Herrick, he's in this great little, he's got a full upright bass behind him. He's got a bass drum. He's got a series of keyboards, a series of mandolins, of guitars, and he's just full out underscoring almost the entire show, providing all this texture, all this nuance, all this just an added idea, an added character. It provided a heck of a whole lot, especially in moments like where someone needs to see a ghost and you're getting a musical representation of what's going on inside them that plays with Shakespeare's language. And I don't think it ever plays against it. I think Jack is a deft and nuanced musician that I'm really grateful to have him up there with us.
I personally think Hamlet is the greatest play ever written, and it's remarkable considering how old it is, and it still holds up today. It stands the test of time, and that's really what makes it, I think, great. One of the things I find that's hard sometimes is to try to talk to people about saying it's relatable. You need to go see this, because I think that people are scarred memories of high school having to memorize it or read it or something like that. It is, you can't replace it. I mean, the best way to see these plays, especially Hamlet, is to go see it perform, because that really conveys all the nuances.
Absolutely. I mean, because, and I won't get on my nerd soapbox too much here, but Shakespeare had very little interest in being published. It was not meant to be read or studied. It was meant to be experienced in a big group of people, live, hearing the words. Watching these very exciting plots play out with just incredible language. And then what makes Hamlet is that you're getting this exciting revenger's tragedy that is what will happen next. It's a ghost story. It's a love story. It's a family drama. And meanwhile, we're peppering in all the big questions of life, why are we here? To be or not to be? These are the questions that keep us up at night. And Shakespeare's got something great to say about them just in the midst of, what is essentially an action play. It's a thrill. And I agree. It's definitely one of my favorite English language plays ever written. And I hope we're doing better than high school drama class, but also high school drama class is important.
Very important. As a matter of fact, some of the things I've referred to talking to you actually came from my high school drama class. So pay attention in there when they're teaching that. I will say the other last thing here I'll mention, my wife went with me to this. She had never seen it. She had never read it. She is 53 years old.
That's great.
And she went, and the audible, once again, we're not going to talk about the end, but the audible gasps at the end were it was so fun, because you realize, I don't care. You got superheroes and, James Bond and all this stuff. This play actually delivers still the punches, the surprises, the really the reaction that you want to get. It really, to see it with someone who had never seen it before was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh.
Yeah, and we're getting that experience, night after night, where we know that some people do not know what's going to happen. Some people do not know that in that first scene, a ghost is going to show up.
Yeah.
And I won't give any spoilers past that first scene, but it's really thrilling. And we've had a couple high school groups and it really feels like a rock concert, when the stuff really starts to go down. And yeah, that's thrilling. I'm glad that you had that experience with your wife.
Well, and you just said the high school kids. I guarantee you in 20 years, there's going to be some actor who said, I went and saw Hamlet at the Guthrie. And I said to myself, I had to become an actor. I guarantee you're going to have people in movies, TV, theater, TikTok, whatever. They're going to be in 30, 40 years in the future. They're going to be saying, yep, I got convinced when I went and saw this because it is that good. Once again, it is Hamlet at the Guthrie Theater. It goes until May 21st. Go and see this. If you can get tickets, it's going to get tough to get tickets. So you want to go get tickets as soon as you can. Daniel Petzold, Horatio in Hamlet. All my best. Congratulations on this. And I really do look forward to seeing you in your next play. And well done there, sir. And thanks for all the great acting. And I hope all my best success for you.
Oh, I so appreciate it. Really enjoyed talking to you.
My pleasure. Daniel Petzold, once again, Horatio in Hamlet at the Guthrie. We'll take a break. Come on back. Guess what passed the Senate? Oh, I know what I'm going to do during this commercial break. Oh, it's not law yet? Darn it. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
This is Gregory Rich from Habitation Furnishing and Design and Drink in the Style. You may not realize it, but a trained, skilled interior designer can not just beautify your space, they can functionify it as well. I don't know if that's a word, but it is a thing. So why not check out habitationdesign.com and see if it looks like we're right for you. If it does, give us a call and let's schedule an appointment, in person or virtually, to make your home exceptional. habitationdesign.com. Have you heard about the District Edina? Well, if you haven't, you're in for a treat. The District Edina is the Twin Cities' newest and most exciting destination for all things home design and remodeling. If you're looking for flooring or window treatments, furnishings, a builder to handle a remodel or an addition, kitchen or bath work, or even original fine art, you will find it at the District Edina. The District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at, wait for it, thedistrictedina.com.
Consumer Reports published their 2023 Best Vehicles Report, and Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota dominate the list again. The Corolla Hybrid, the Corolla Cross, and the Camry all top their best value new cars categories. The Camry Hybrid, the Highlander Hybrid, the Corolla Hybrid, and RAV4 Prime all ranked as best green choices. And my personal favorite, the Toyota Sienna, also ranked in the top of its class. Toyotas are not only gorgeous, they're best buys. Test drive one today by going to Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
Hey, it's Tom. Fossil fuels continue to have negative impacts on our environment. Luckily, there are more ways now than ever to use renewable energy in your home or business. All Energy Solar offers smart energy solutions like custom solar paneling, electric vehicle chargers, and energy storage. Solar panel systems can last for decades, meaning you can help the environment and cut back on electric bills for years to come. There are incentives and rebates available to most people who install solar energy, too. Last year, the federal solar tax credit increased to a 30% tax credit. This incentive can be used in combination with other incentives from your utility, county, or city. But don't delay or miss out, as many of these incentives are limited to only a certain number of people. So have a professional from All Energy Solar help you discover how solar can power up your property while saving on your energy costs. Call 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota's Matt McNeil Show. Daniel Petzold, once again, Horatio over in the play. Go see that. Yeah, the standing ovation started, I think, about the third group of people bowing, and it got louder and louder. I am hard-pressed to think about a larger standing ovation at the Guthrie I've seen. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen too many plays that had that kind of standing ovation.
Seeing Hamlet on a venue like the Guthrie. I've seen that before at much smaller venues. And yeah, you're getting at the Guthrie, you're going to get a show.
I swear, I think that was designed to be late 80s LA, the set and everything. And as a matter of fact, when Hamlet first comes on the stage, he's kind of dressed like a West Coast rapper from that time. And I said, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And if you look at the soldiers' uniforms, they look like Janet Jackson from that time too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did. They got the Janet Jackson influence. So I think that is the kind of the deal. But yeah, everything about that is spectacular. So, hey, guess what? First of all, we can officially say to the Republican Party of Minnesota, narc. All right. The Minnesota Senate cast its first ever vote to legalize recreational marijuana on Friday, pushing the proposal closer to becoming law than ever before. Senators passed the DFL-led marijuana bill on a 34-33 vote. All Democrats voting for it, all Republicans voting against it. And you wonder why the kids don't like to vote for you. Wonder, just a mystery of the ages, you know? Don't know why. The House approved the marijuana bill on Tuesday. Both the House and Senate bills now head to conference committee, where their differences will be reconciled in the final version, while Republicans go, the Republican, can I say this? You said this, you were surprised. Not a single Republican voted for this, right?
I thought 2 or 3 might. Obviously not a majority, but 2 or 3.
I think they don't want to lose their third-party spoilers. I think the third-party spoilers are too important for them to legalize marijuana, and that the whole joke is to basically keep it illegal so they can continue to fund pro candidates to basically derail Democratic races. So I think it is. Minnesotans are ready. Attitudes are changing. Our time to undo decades of ineffective and damaging prohibition, said Lindsay Port, the DFL from Burnsville. I adore her. She is one of my favorites. She is the sponsor of the marijuana bill, who wore a bright green suit to commemorate Friday's vote. Democrats argued that legalizing marijuana will do more to harm than good, leading to worse rates of addiction and traffic fatalities. I mean, seriously, if you're against marijuana for traffic fatalities, then where's your bill to limit alcohol drinking? Because alcohol is far more dangerous than marijuana. So don't try to argue like we care about people. What about alcohol? We're not going to do a dang thing about that. Governor Walz said he's down with it. He'll sign. I don't think it's actually how he phrased it. He said he's down, baby. Bring me that bill. He'll sign the marijuana bill if it reaches his desk. Is Jesse around? Jesse, let me tell you, I'm excited. Oh, this is going to be great. What happened to my hair? I think Jesse's going to be a very happy man. Both bills would allow Minnesotans 21 and older to buy up to 2 ounces of cannabis flower, 8 grams of concentrate, 800 milligrams worth of edible products at one time. Adults could grow up 8 to 8 cannabis plants at home. God, where are all the pots from the Home Depot? I mean, God, they're sold out over here. Where's the planting soil? Guys, there's none of that here. Differences to be worked out include issues around at-home marijuana possession and the tax rate for products. Under the Senate bill, Minnesotans who grow their own marijuana could possess up to 5 pounds of consumable flower in their homes. 5 pounds. You are getting high. That is like Cheech and Chong levels of car made of marijuana. Those who acquire the marijuana elsewhere could possess no more than 2 pounds. The House will impose a private possession limit of 1.5 pounds across the board. There you go. As much as we joke about this, the reality is this will help out a lot of people, especially the people who are out suffering from cancer and needing marijuana to help get through their symptoms, get through the chemotherapy. This will help out greatly. There's other medical issues there. And the reality is, as I think it was Jasinski said, this has been legal in other states. It's been perfectly fine. They haven't had problems. I was just out in Colorado in October. It's not a problem. Trust me. It's not a problem. Life goes on. It's just there. Maybe if I have time, I'll touch on the legalized gambling issue, because I can tell you right now, I think there's far more danger in legalized gambling, sports betting. But I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. But and like I said, if you're upset about marijuana, then, because of addictive qualities, well, I got a lot of other things that's far more addictive and far more dangerous than marijuana is. And you guys don't seem to be trying to stop any of that stuff. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Victoria Sung is going to join us when we do return. She is the curator of the Pasita Abad exhibit over the Walker. We'll talk to her about that exhibit when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
I'm so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decisions seem easy.
Oh, really? What do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We're a local small business that prides itself in helping our community with their Medicare needs. Medicare is complex, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past Medicare eligibility at age 65, give us a call. We can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com or call 952-465-0074 to schedule a consultation. CompareYourMedicare.com is part of the Minnesota Health Insurance Network of Agents.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. And I have big news. We've moved. Our new building in North Minneapolis is much larger with state-of-the-art equipment. That means we can get your projects done faster. We're on Washington Avenue North off I-94 at the Dowling exit, which allows for quick pickup and drop-off with plenty of free parking. And yes, we still print everything. I moved to MP Uptown because as a Black business owner, I want to be in North Minneapolis and help provide jobs. At MP Uptown, we pay above living wages, hire people who have made mistakes in the past, and believe in social justice. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Let us handle your next print project, because when you support our business, you support the community. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a high near 52. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 39. And Saturday, rain with a high near 53. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there's bare spots or brown patches, Natural Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natural Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care to feed your soil without unnecessary chemicals. Beat the summer rush and visit naturallawn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. I had the absolute privilege a few days ago to go through the Walker Art Center's brand new exhibit, multiple rooms on Pasita Abad, a complete retrospective of her career. She is a spectacular artist, and frankly, I love how she uses color and brightness. It's exactly the art you need to see right now, because it is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. It is a major installation here over her entire 32-year career. It is at the Walker right now. Joining us right now is Victoria Sung. She is the curator for this exhibit. I should mention here, she is now currently in California. She's the Phyllis Wada Senior Curator of the Berkeley Art Museum and the Pacific Film Archive. She was curating at the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis, where she organized some of the most acclaimed exhibitions. Her final exhibit is indeed the Pasita Abad exhibit, a retrospective exhibit on the contemporary Philippine-American artist. She is kind enough to join us today to talk about putting that entire display together. Victoria, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be talking with you.
Well, you laid out. I was there when we went through the exhibit. It is, first of all, congratulations. This is spectacular. There is something really nice. I don't care who the artist is, to be able to get a retrospective of their career and to see them in kind of in all stages of their career is truly a special thing. And you guys did a magnificent job with Pasita Abad.
Thank you. And of course, it was such a huge team effort at the Walker, and we were so thrilled to be able to be, the institution to put together, as you said, her first ever retrospective.
Talk a little bit about it, because I've seen one or two of her pieces. I did not know how many pieces she had, which they're a lot of them there at the Walker right now.
Yes.
But why don't you give a little bit of background? Who exactly is Pasita Abad?
Sure. So this is always a tricky question because she was such a multifaceted artist, and her husband, Jack, had described her to me as kind of like, trying to wrap your head around Pasita was like tangling with an octopus because she has so many different arms. But if I could try to boil it down, she was, incredibly multi-talented, an artist who traveled the world. And by that, I mean, she really traveled. She lived, worked, and traveled to over 60 countries on 6 continents in her 32-year career. And she was incredibly prolific. She made thousands of artworks. They were monumental in scale. And she really transcended boundaries in her making. So in particular, she collapsed any type of distinction between painting and quilting. So many of the works that you'll see in the Walker exhibition are kind of this hybrid form of painting and quilting.
Well, and that's one of the first things I wanted to talk about, because it is really unique. I mean, she obviously, like I said, you don't generally see these two things together too often. And I've loved the rise in, and I've seen this in a few different museums, the rise of textile art. And we're doing more of that. We're seeing more of that. I think we're appreciating more of it. Talk a little bit about that, because that seemed to be fairly unique. I've not seen someone do exactly what she was able to pull together with the multimedia.
Totally, yeah. And I think you're very right that, these days in contemporary art, we're seeing more and more artists who are working in textiles in really interesting ways. But I think in that way, Pasita was such a visionary. And, she was really one of the pioneers in doing this. If you think about it, that she was making these works, in the early 80s to the early 2000s. But, she started making these works as she was traveling. And in part, it was a practical consideration because she was moving from country to country. And, she was working really big. Some of these canvases are up to 16 or 20 feet, tall. And she couldn't carry these stretched canvases with her. So in some ways, it was a practical solution to roll up her canvases. And then, she would just stuff them into these big duffel bags as they were moving around. But for her, she was, so inspired by different textile traditions as she was traveling to different countries, and many countries in different parts of the global South. And so she wanted to incorporate these textile traditions intentionally to really highlight, what at that time was seen as these kind of feminized, non-Westernized forms of labor. So it was a really kind of, intentional, poignant act to kind of bring in what at the time in, Western art circles was considered quote unquote craft.
Mm-hmm. Her pieces are brilliant. Let's talk a little bit about a few of them, if you don't mind. There's a display you put up there about masks, and this is a series of pieces that she did on traditional masks in different parts of the world, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, as she was traveling and she was, seeing what other artists and makers were doing, not just in textiles, but, carving out of wood or making out of stone or making bits of jewelry, she was incorporating all of that into her artwork. So even though she was working primarily in textiles, she was very inspired by mask making traditions. And in particular, kind of the power of masking traditions to tell both individual stories and kind of collective stories. Mm-hmm. And so she made an entire series starting in the 80s, specifically around masks and spirits. And in the exhibition, we were able to bring together actually one of her most monumental public installations. This was a 50-foot long installation that she made for the Washington, D.C. Metro Center in 1990. And so these 6 works that made up that installation are at the Walker again for the first time in over 30 years. But for her, again, masks, allowed for a multiplicity of identities. They allowed their wearers to, as she said, be who you are now and someone else in a different version of yourself. So she loved kind of the flexibility and openness that many traditions and cultures look to in terms of masking.
Can I ask about those pieces? Were they all still together, or did you guys? As a curator, did you have to go track those down?
We had to track them down.
Wow.
Yeah, they had been dispersed and in different collections, some in private collections, some with the artist estate, and some, in public institutions. So it was a process of tracking them down and really pleading that all of these could be back together again as the artist intended.
How long did you work on this exhibit? My goodness, just what you just described there, I have to imagine this has been years in the making.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say officially 3 years and definitely longer than that for the research process.
Wow.
But because so many of the works were coming from all over the world, it's a very long process to try to track works down and, see them in person, make sure there aren't any conservation issues, and then, of course, work with our lenders to make sure that we can bring them safely to Minneapolis.
The piece Flight to Freedom, you showed that one and talked about that one. The concept of social justice and highlighting the people who are the less what are considered to be the lesser people, the people that are abused, the people that are struggling and striving, trying to be there. She really did bring that in. She did not shy away from highlighting the struggles of the people of the world.
Definitely not. Yeah. And I think that's important to recognize that even though she was working, with such exuberant colors and in such a rich material way, so much of her content was driven by her interest in social issues. So she actually, came from a political family in the Philippines. She thought she was going to be a politician herself, came to the United States actually thinking she was going to study or continue her law studies, and then, switched careers to become an artist. But her, again, fighting for social justice and political justice in particular is something that never left her in her artistic career. So the works that you're talking about are part of her early social realist series. These are some of her first paintings made in the late 70s when she was living in Thailand. And in particular, at the time, this was at the height of the Cambodian refugee crisis. And so she was there, on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, visiting many of these refugee camps, talking to individuals and photographing them, sketching them, painting them eventually into these monumental murals. And the work that you just mentioned, Flight to Freedom, is, I think, 15 feet long.
Yeah.
And so she really intended this to be a traveling mural in the vein of, Diego Rivera or some of the other Mexican muralists. But she wanted, and she has this very powerful quote where she says, after the media coverage ends, I want my paintings to continue staring at you. Because she wanted to agitate people, to not just be empathetic towards others, but also to stir them into action.
Victoria Sung is joining us right now. She's a curator of the Pasita Abad exhibit over at the Walker, and I cannot, as a fan of the art, you've got to go see this. It really is. It not only is it a spectacular artist, but it's so great to see any retrospective here. One of the things which is great is towards the end, she apparently got into scuba diving at some point, and it conveyed over into her art pieces. She did, as you talk about the size of some of these pieces, there are massive pieces that she did. This is the last room of the exhibit, which are truly spectacular, of undersea, scenes, correct?
Yes, yeah. So it's a full room that we really wanted to convey kind of this, underwater subaquatic realm. And it's this entire series of works that she made in the mid 80s. And as you said, she learned how to scuba dive. She grew up on a very, very tiny island in the Philippines called Batanes, but never learned how to swim growing up. So when she was adult, she learned how to swim, and not only that, she learned how to scuba dive. So as she was, doing this, she was introduced to this incredibly rich subaquatic realm of texture and color and pattern. And she brought all of that into the making of these works. So it's a really, exuberant finale, but also, there's somewhat of a political undercurrent in those works as well. Because, she was making these works in the Philippines in the mid 80s. This is really right at the time when the Marcos regime there were huge protests against the dictatorship, and the Marcos family was being ousted from the Philippines. So she showed these in the same year. So it's really interesting to think about how she was, talking about the Philippines, but in a way that wasn't immediately apparent.
You actually, I got a little bit emotional at one point. We were talking about the paintings, and you came across, I think it's 3 paintings you have up in one of the rooms, and it is as she was dying. And
Yeah.
and basically they're different, and you said they're different than the other paintings she did because and I think correct me, and I'm paraphrasing, you can correct me how I say this, but it was like she was trying to get every bit of art out of her before she passed away, and so she made these fairly stunning pieces which are there, but it really, as I looked at them, you could see what you were talking about, that there almost seemed to be a frantic nature to them.
Completely. Yeah. And I think those are some of my favorite paintings in the show, because it was at a time when, this is the early 2000s. She had just been diagnosed with cancer. She was going through different treatments, but for her, painting was a lifeline. And you can see that in the works, because they have, from afar at first glance may appear to be this kind of busy, frantic nature. But then when you understand when and how and why she was making them, you really see that she just wanted to get everything out that she could onto her canvases, because she felt like she didn't have too much time. So I think they're incredibly poignant, powerful works, and also so skilled. Like, she had just mastered, over 3 decades of working as an artist. She finally felt like she had the tools that she needed to really do what she wanted to do. And so it was, too sad that her life was cut short in 2004. But these were her, some of her very final works, and I think they're some of the most powerful.
I got a chat with Jack, her husband, who was there, and it was actually just fascinating talking with him. And he talked about them coming to the Walker. I think it was in 72, 73. They were driving through the state, and they came on through. And he had said at that point she had said something to the fact that I'd love to have a piece in there at some point. Which, okay, mission accomplished. But we were there. It was right in the very beginning of the exhibit. It's the piece that he stood in, and you could tell for him there was a lot of emotion as he was able to walk through this exhibit.
Oh, definitely. And, Jack and his wife, Christy, and Pio Abad from the Artist Estate have been so critical in organizing this exhibition, because it's really, I've seen this kind of exhibition as really the culmination of a long love letter from Jack to Pasita. It's really thanks to him that he has, cared for Pasita's artworks for so many decades, when museums weren't paying her any attention. Right? They weren't looking to bring her work into the collection. And so now it's really wonderful to see this incredible resurgence of interest in her practice. But for so long, art historians and curators weren't taking her seriously. So I think it is, incredibly rewarding and emotional in some ways for Jack. And he's again been such an amazing caretaker over the years.
We were walking through the exhibit, and I couldn't help but look back, and he was usually one gallery behind us, and you could see the emotion and just the pride and the happiness, sadness. You could see that as he was going through all the pieces. And, it truly was, this is for him, this entire exhibit is a love letter, a letter to his wife. And I think you guys, as the writers of the letter, it's just so well done there.
Thank you. Yeah. And, I think, it's really funny and wonderful in talking to Jack about the works. He's talked about them as like being reunited with old friends.
Yeah.
because for so long, he hadn't seen many of these works unrolled and, unfurled from storage because they were in storage for so long. So I think it's a really wonderful, wonderful reunion.
We're not going to talk about. I want people to go see it. Go see. There's a door there she made. You got to go see that. That thing is one of the best things I've ever seen, and practical too, which is amazing. I love that too. This is how long is this exhibit going on at the Walker?
So it'll be on view until early September. So there are a few more months to catch it. And then it goes on a national tour to San Francisco, New York, and then to Toronto.
Oh, so well deserved. I'm so glad to hear there's going to be a national tour of this afterwards.
Yeah, we're so excited. And we put together, a major catalog alongside the show that features this incredible oral history project that we did because Casita is no longer living and with us. We were able to talk to so many of her artist friends, curator friends, but also just, everyday friends and family that knew her. And so it was such a rewarding project. So we really hope the exhibition and the book give people a strong sense of who she was as an artist and a person.
One final thing, just want to say congratulations. Our loss is Berkeley's gain. Congratulations on moving out there. All my best on your new position out at Berkeley Art Museum.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you left with a bang. Not many people. That's like hitting a grand slam home run on your final at bat and walking out of the stadium. Nicely done.
It's an exuberant finale, and I'm so happy to have worked with the Walker team. They're absolutely incredible. So thank you.
Victoria Sung, once again, go to the Walker, go see the Pasita Abad exhibit. It is exceptional. It's there until September. You do not miss this. Do not miss this. This is going to be one of those exhibits you're going to be kicking yourself if you do not go see it. Victoria, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Take care. We'll take a break. Come on back. Wrap up the show. When we do return, it is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Up your game both personally and professionally. The Dare to Be Great event is on May 20th at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. It features two nationally known speakers, Jack Canfield, founder of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and Michael Vukovic, author of The Mind, the Muscle, the Miracle. General admission tickets are $197 and VIP tickets are $297 and include lots of fun bonuses. Don't miss this amazing opportunity to learn from two gifted speakers and move your life from good to great. Get your tickets and details at outrageous.com. That's outrageoussuccess.com.
On Saturday, April 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., join Seward Co-op for their 22nd annual Community-Supported Agricultural, or CSA Fair, plus a welcome party. Seward Community Co-op is dedicated to helping to build a food system that values inclusivity, environmental responsibility, equity, and access. Visit the CSA Fair to see these values in action and choose a CSA chair that is right for you and your household. There will be activities for kids, treats, prizes, and more. The event will also be celebrating Seward Co-op's new general manager, Ray Williams. In addition, Seward Co-op looks forward to offering community members a chance to engage in the future of the creamery building by bringing them into the conversation about how the space can serve the community. Learn about a variety of different CSAs which offer vegetables, fruit, meat, cheese, bread, mushrooms, and add-ons like honey, maple syrup, eggs, and flowers. Others allow CSA chairs to be customized to fit your needs, such as half shares and weekly purchase options. Go to seward.coop/events for more information.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Go see that exhibit. It is exceptional. It's going to be there for a while. And can I just say, I'm loving the fact that art's getting back to bright colors. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to see that again. One last story. I mentioned this earlier. I want to just mention this again. Minnesota's horse racing industry would get a slice of the state's sports betting revenue under a planned amendment aimed at increasing the proposal's odds of passage. Driving this issue is DFL Senator Matt Klein, the sponsor of the sports betting legislation. He's planning to introduce changes to the bill during the Senate hearing through the first week of May. The draft proposal would give Native American tribes exclusive rights to licenses needed to operate both brick and mortar and mobile betting. Support from the tribes, pro sports teams, and key committee chairs in the House and Senate signal momentum after years of failed efforts to add Minnesota to the growing list of states that currently allow wagering in some form. The state's horse track racing tracks, which weren't part of the proposed system, were left out of the plan, though. And as a matter of fact, it should be mentioned, the sports teams themselves do not want the horse tracks involved. They actually want this all run by the Native American casinos, which I'm okay with, because I'll tell you what, I like a good sports book. I do like that. I don't bet on them, but I love going there and seeing and watching all the games. I enjoy that there. They supported the tribes pro teams. They're kind of push this. The horse racing industry, the horse racing tracks were pushing back. Lawmakers in both chambers, whose votes would likely be needed to pass the bill, say they want a deal that will get the tracks support. So basically, proposed changes include routing 3% of profits generated from sports betting, about 30% of the cut of the state would take, and the taxes into an economic development fund for the tracks. So far, the tracks are not saying it. I will say this. I just do not see this getting passed. I don't see this getting passed with there being sports betting at the tracks. I just don't see that. I just don't see it. So I think you have to kind of look at this and I know that that's what they want, but yeah, we'll have to see. That does it for us for the week. We got Native Roots Radio coming up in the 6th. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Taking us out this week, Charlie XCX. This is Super Love. We are back on a Monday. Go out and see Hamlet. Go out and see Pasita Abad. Go to the MIA. Art and Bloom's going on this weekend. For God's sake, get out in this city. This city kicks ass. Have a good one. We're back on Monday. Till then, see ya.
You're soaking through my blood. R.I.P. Send me free. Yeah, this is dangerous. I can't get enough. Wanna fall into your super love. You're my heart, never wants it to stop. Please save me, 'cause I never seem to get enough. You're the bullet and you're making me drop. Please save me. So give me all of your super love. 'Cause my body is a ghost for you. I'm waiting. Down here in your arms, but in love with you. I'm falling hard from the highest heights. When I crash, where will you be? I think your hair looks much better pushed over to one side. How do you feel about me? SOS, this is real and this is dangerous. You're my favorite drug. I'll smoke you in
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring.